Bittersweet by Jeff C. Carter, read by Corrine Phillips. Aisha squinted in the dark, scratching at the employee entrance with her key. The door opened and she nearly fell inside. Her manager, Clarissa, held it open for her. "You're on time. Good." Aisha met her jade eyes and forced the first smile of her shift. "Good morning." She slid past her manager into the coffee shop and frowned. She never thought she'd be a barista in training at this stage of her life. She despised getting up before the sun. The only perk, besides the free coffee, was having the place to herself for an hour when she opened. Clarissa studied her. "Have you eaten?" It was an odd question, and Aisha wasn't sure what the right answer was. A functioning adult should have made their bed, had breakfast, and probably written some thank you notes already. Aisha tucked an errant curl behind her ear and shook her head. "Good. You'll need a clean palate for the new drinks." "That's why I skipped breakfast," Aisha lied. She'd barely slept or showered that week, and she'd totally spaced on today's autumn beverage training module. Clarissa tilted her head towards the kitchen area. "Let's get started." Aisha wondered how old Clarissa was. She had great cheekbones and a brushstroke of gray in her long black hair. They might even be the same age, although there was definitely an old soul behind those dark green eyes. Had Clarissa started in this business, or had she lost her real job like Aisha? Did she want to be a manager, or had she simply never escaped the coffee shop? Clarissa pointed to a row of utensils and ingredients. "We won't be serving pumpkin spice." Society had reached peak pumpkin spice 2 years ago, and caffeinated cider had been a sickly sweet failure. "We have some special offerings this autumn." Her manager cupped a handful of colorful candy corn. "First up is the hollow cream." She tossed the candy corn into a blender with 1 cup of light roast coffee and a scoop of ice. Once the mixture blurred together, she poured the frothy steam into a glass. Note the cascade and separation. The beverage settled and divided into layers. Aisha thought this was a sign of poor blending until Clarissa added the cloud of whipped cream on top. The hollow cream looked like a giant candy corn with a yellow bottom, orange center, and white top. It also looked like something that would be better on Instagram than inside your mouth. She reluctantly took a sip. A jolt of sugar chased the dreary morning fog from her brain. It was the perfect mix of coffee and candy. Why hadn't she made any plans for Halloween? That was obvious. But she deserved some fun after the awful year she'd had. It was time to reconnect with all the friends she'd been avoiding. She took another sip and smiled. "This is amazing. What else do we have?" Her manager opened a stack of bins and placed their contents into a black mortar and pestle. There was a charred orange leaf, a wilted flower, and a tangled clump of pale green hair. "Here, grind these up." Aisha mashed them together while her manager heated some milk. The leaf crumbled into ash. The green stuff appeared to be moss. "Is this an herbal tea? I've never made one with moss before." Clarissa took the bowl. "It's called usnia. It's all natural." She packed the powder into a metal filter and ran it through the espresso machine. She handed Aisha the shots. "First the tea, then the espresso. Top it off with the foamed milk." Aisha caressed the drink's dark surface with a layer of milk. An inky stain crept across it, ruining her presentation. "Sorry." "No, it's fine. That's supposed to happen. Go ahead, try it." Aisha took a sip. It was harsh and biting. She thought the floral notes might help, but they tasted like ashes and dirt. She looked at the black smudges of powder under her nails. She had tossed a handful of earth onto her mother's coffin 2 months ago. It should have been the end of a long, bleak chapter. It had only added funeral expenses to her late mother's mountain of medical debt. Aisha turned away. The last thing she needed was her boss to see her crying. "It's bitter, isn't it?" Clarissa said. "It's called the macchiato mori." Aisha wiped her mouth. "Yeah, I might I saw more of the hollow creams. Clarissa smiled, but there was no joy in it. It looked more like pain carried with grace. It was a smile her mother's nurses had worn. Life isn't always sweet, Clarissa said. Neither are coffee and tea. Got it. Aisha stared at the coffee shop window. It was so dark. Her shift had barely begun, and she wanted to lay her head on the counter. I'll make the last one for you. Just watch. Clarissa unwrapped a mahogany brick of Oaxacan chocolate. She chopped it up alongside a dried chili pepper and dumped it into a pot of milk. She added a pinch of salt, a splash of vanilla, and then stirred it all together with a cinnamon stick. The aroma filled the kitchen air with warm velvet. Memories bubbled up from Aisha's childhood. Movies on the couch with Mom, wrapped under a big blanket. Late-night talks. Spending the day in fluffy bathrobes with a stack of books between them. Aisha clenched her jaw and tried to stay numb. The coffee shop was a rut that she was climbing out of, not a part of her life. A delicate smell guided her back to the present. Clarissa blew a plume of smoldering incense into the pot of melting chocolate. Wow, Aisha said. What is that? This is cocoa, an important part of Dia de los Muertos. She filled a cup with steaming dark chocolate, as well as our Coco de los Muertos. And don't forget a little sweet to pair with the bitter. She dropped a little grinning sugar skull into the drink and then offered the mug. Aisha inhaled the smoke and tasted the spicy chocolate. Memories continued to crowd her mind, too many to explore, each leaving their warmth as they departed. Clarissa fixed herself a mug. I don't mean to pry, but one of the girls mentioned you had a loss in your family. I wanted to offer my condolences. Yeah, thank you. It was my mother. Clarissa offered another gentle smile. What was she like? She was the best, Aisha said. Aisha took another sip. Mom was gone. But the love was still there. It would always be there. A sigh took flight from her ribcage. Clarissa smiled widely now, green eyes crinkling at the edges. I'd like to hear more about her. They headed out to the front of the shop and sat on the leather sofa. They sipped chocolate and shared stories about loved ones they'd lost. Smiles turned into laughter, and before they knew it, the windows were painted in peach and purple light. A weary customer approached the front door. Aisha swiftly unlocked it and smiled. Good morning. May I interest you in one of our autumn specials?
Thanks for listening. Please subscribe and follow. We're now on YouTube. Links are in the show notes. You can find me at jeffccarter.com and hit the link to pick up my collection, We Bleed Orange and Black, 31 fun-sized tales for Halloween. Until next time, stay spooktacular.